At just 18 years old, the entire world is already watching him. Some call him the next Messi. Others say football has never seen talent like this before. But now comes the biggest test of all, the FIFA World Cup. One teenager, one nation, one chance to shock the planet. This is Lamine Yamal's first World Cup story. In the streets near Barcelona, a special kid was growing up quietly. Lamine Yamal joined La Masia at a very young age and immediately looked different. Coaches saw unbelievable dribbling, creativity, and fearlessness. Even against older players, he played with complete confidence. Barcelona knew they were protecting a future superstar. As the years passed, Yamal destroyed record after record. He became one of the youngest players ever to represent Barcelona's first team. Fans couldn't believe how calm he looked under pressure. While most teenagers feared mistakes, Yamal demanded the ball constantly. Europe suddenly realized a new phenomenon had arrived. Then Spain made a huge decision. Instead of waiting years, they trusted the teenager immediately. Yamal became one of the youngest players ever to wear Spain's shirt, and in his very first appearances, he played without fear against international defenders. The country started dreaming about a new golden generation. Euro 2024 changed everything forever. On the biggest stage in Europe, Yamal played like he belonged among legends. His dribbling, assists, and magical left foot terrified defenders every match. Millions of football fans witnessed a teenager dominating elite football under insane pressure. By the end of the tournament, the world knew his name. But football changes fast when expectations become enormous. Suddenly, people weren't asking if Yamal was talented anymore. They were asking if he could carry Spain at the World Cup. Injuries, pressure, media attention, everything around him became heavier. And now, at only 18 years old, his biggest challenge was about to begin. Summer 2026. The FIFA World Cup finally begins. Stadiums across the United States, Canada, and Mexico are filled with unbelievable energy. Cameras follow every movement of Lamine Yamal before Spain's opening match. At only 18, he carries the expectations of an entire football nation. And the world waits to see if the teenager is truly ready for greatness. Inside Spain's training camp, pressure becomes impossible to escape. Every newspaper headline talks about Yamal. Every fan wants magic from him. Comparisons to Messi and Neymar grow louder every single day. But behind the confidence, Yamal understands something terrifying. One bad tournament could change how the football world sees him forever. Then the moment finally arrives. Lamine Yamal walks onto the pitch for his very first FIFA World Cup game. Millions around the world watch the teenager with unbelievable anticipation. At first, the pressure is visible, every touch feels heavy, but slowly, his fearless football begins to appear again. Midway through the match, Yamal receives the ball near the right wing. One defender disappears, then another. The stadium suddenly rises to its feet. With unbelievable calmness, he delivers a perfect pass into the box for Spain's opening goal. In one moment, the pressure transforms into pure excitement. The teenager had officially arrived at the World Cup. After the match, social media explodes everywhere. Fans, legends, and pundits all begin saying the same thing: football's future is here. Yamal becomes the face of the tournament almost overnight. But deep inside Spain's camp, nobody celebrates too early, because the real battle for World Cup glory has only just begun. As the group stage ended, the pressure became even more dangerous. One mistake now could send Spain home instantly. Defenders started targeting Yamal aggressively, trying to stop his creativity. Every match became more physical, faster, and emotionally brutal. But instead of hiding, Yamal demanded the ball even more. By the round of 16, opponents had changed their entire tactics because of him. Double marking wasn't enough anymore. Every time Yamal touched the ball, stadiums reacted with anticipation. His confidence, movement, and imagination made defenders panic constantly. At only 18 years old, he was controlling World Cup matches like a veteran. Then came the terrifying moment Spain feared most. During a crucial match, Yamal stayed down after a heavy tackle. The entire stadium suddenly fell silent. Spanish fans around the world watched in panic as medical staff rushed onto the pitch. For a moment, it felt like the dream could end instantly. But true stars are remembered for moments like this. Despite the pain, Yamal refused to abandon his teammates. He returned to the pitch with fire in his eyes and played with even greater intensity. Every sprint, every dribble, every touch felt personal now. The teenager was no longer just talented, he was becoming a warrior. Then came the performance that shocked the football world completely. Against one of the tournament favorites, Yamal delivered a masterpiece under impossible pressure. Goals, dribbles, key passes, he controlled the match like a future Ballon d'Or winner. Commentators everywhere started saying the same thing: football might be witnessing the birth of its next global icon. Spain had reached the World Cup semi-final. The pressure now was bigger than anything Lamine Yamal had ever experienced. One victory would send Spain into the biggest match in football history. Across the world, fans debated whether the teenager could handle the moment. But Yamal looked calm, almost like he was born for nights like this. The semi-final became pure chaos from the first minute. Spain faced a ruthless opponent filled with world-class stars and experience. Every attack felt dangerous. Every mistake could end the dream forever. But in the middle of the storm, Yamal kept demanding responsibility. The teenager refused to disappear under pressure. Then came the moment nobody would ever forget. Yamal picked up the ball outside the box with defenders surrounding him instantly. One touch, two touches, then a magical strike exploded into the top corner. The stadium erupted into complete madness. At 18 years old, Lamine Yamal had delivered one of the greatest World Cup moments ever seen. When the final whistle blew, Spanish players collapsed onto the pitch in tears. Spain had reached another FIFA World Cup final. Cameras immediately focused on Yamal as fans screamed his name around the stadium. Just months earlier, he was still seen as a wonderkid with potential. Now, he was carrying a football nation toward immortality. The night before the final felt almost unreal. Social media, television, and football legends everywhere talked only about one player. Some believed Yamal could become the youngest superstar ever to dominate a World Cup. Others warned that finals can destroy even the greatest talents. But inside his room that night, the teenager stayed focused on one dream: becoming world champion. The biggest match in football had finally arrived. More than 1 billion people around the world watched the stadium lights shine down on history. Across from Spain stood another football giant desperate for glory. Every touch, every pass, every mistake suddenly carried enormous weight. And standing in the middle of it all was 18-year-old Lamine Yamal. The final quickly became the hardest match of Yamal's young career. Defenders closed him down instantly every time he touched the ball. Spain struggled to create chances as tension filled the entire stadium. For the first time in the tournament, the teenager looked human again. But true legends are remembered for what they do in the hardest moments. Late in the second half, Yamal received the ball near the edge of the box. The entire stadium rose to its feet immediately. One quick movement created just enough space between him and the defender. Then came a magical assist that changed everything forever. In the biggest moment of his life, Yamal delivered for Spain. When the final whistle blew, chaos exploded across the stadium. Spain were world champions once again. Players collapsed in tears while fans celebrated across the streets of Spain. Cameras followed Yamal as teammates lifted the teenager into the air like a national hero. At only 18 years old, football's next global superstar had truly arrived. Lamine Yamal's first World Cup was never just about football. It was about pressure, expectations, and a teenager carrying the hopes of millions. From La Masia wonderkid to the brightest star on football's biggest stage. And maybe the scariest part for the rest of the world is this: his story is only just beginning. At 18 years old, Lamine Yamal walked into his first World Cup with the pressure of an entire generation on his shoulders. Some players spend their whole careers dreaming of moments like this, but Yamal turned the dream into reality before the world could fully understand how special he truly is. From the streets of Barcelona to football's biggest stage, from wonderkid to global superstar. And maybe this World Cup was never the ending of a story. Maybe it was only the beginning of a new football era. If you enjoyed this journey through Lamine Yamal's first World Cup, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell us, can Lamine Yamal become the greatest player of the next generation?